Today on Well, I want to talk about something that's just interesting to me as I sit here under the thinking tree. But that's optimism, optimism, um, and not just optimism, but ignorant optimism versus intelligent optimism. Okay, I'm just going to use myself as an example to this, so that people can take it as you choose and say, well, how this applies or doesn't apply to you. But I'm actually, very optimistic right now, very optimistic, more optimistic than I've been in years, probably. At a time when, externally, you know, it appears, for a lot of people that there's nothing to be optimistic about. But here's what I'm saying here. When I say, so today I'm intelligently optimistic, whereas once upon a time I was ignorantly optimistic, meaning I was optimistic simply out of hope that things would turn out okay, fully unaware of the information, the factors, the knowledge of the world, our community, the global picture, the national, regional picture, my own, internal, personal, spiritual health journey, physical health. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And the day that I learned that I don't know what I don't know, that was a very pivotal time for me. And I can honestly say over the past 8 years, I've learned more than I learned in the first 42 years. In a lot of ways. Now, the first 42 years of my life wasn't a waste. It wasn't like I'm sitting around and nothing. I learned a lot of practical survival, day to day. This is what we do in the world. This is, work, show up, pay your dues, work ethic. I learned a lot of those fundamental realities of life. But what I didn't learn was the analytical, the informative, the data side, the information side of life. There was a lot I didn't know. There was a lot I didn't know about the economy. There's a lot I didn't know about, community. There was a lot I didn't know about, race dynamics. There was a lot I didn't know about, health. There was a lot I didn't know about. There's a lot I didn't know that requires, reading, seeking of knowledge, and really digesting, becoming a consumer of information, and applicable information, not just random information, not just watching a bunch of movies for the sake of being entertained, but informing myself and being informed. And while being informed, now I have a perspective. I have an informed perspective, which allows me to be intelligently optimistic. Now, so as I fast forward to today, out here in Food by the Word country, but I say, well, I'm extremely optimistic now. Not because of, any rhetoric or because of, waiting for somebody to tell me something. I'm highly optimistic because I'm informed, because I've learned, because I've, developed a process wherein, I spend a lot of time intentionally learning and seeking knowledge and growing and sharpening and shaping it and applying it and informing others and helping to instruct others and helping to, just really work, adding value to others, which in turn sharpens my, my skills, my tools, what works, what doesn't work. It's not just about, gathering a bunch of information just for information's sake, but it's about, growing and staying, not just abreast, but in front of, learning about, you're going to hear about things over the next, months and years, about different technologies and so forth. Well, this process that I began years ago, I'm already aware of certain things that most people are not. Not because I, know something, I got the inside secrets or anything. No, because the reality of it is I've developed a process that makes me aware of information that nobody's paying attention to. It's readily available to us all, but nobody's paying attention to it quite yet. And I'm just bringing, awareness to certain things. And I'm realizing, and I've realized over the past several years, oh, well, a lot of people, nobody I know knows about this. Nobody knows about this. Well, that's because I've developed a process of seeking knowledge, and I've hit a clip where I'm learning, more and more and more on a regular basis. Well, what that does is it makes me more in, my optimism is based on, not just what I think or feel or what somebody, gotta wait for somebody else to feel something for me to feel a way about it. No, now I'm informed. Now I have, intelligent optimism that says, okay, I know, people are going to die. Life has an expiration date for all of us. I know that. This is why. There's these factors. One day I'm going to die. I know. Okay, so I know this. So I'm like, okay, well, I know this. These are the factors why. Now, I know that some have lived, this long. I know that some have only made it, this far. Okay, so now I have, context, on this thing called life. And, life is by no means easy. It's very hard to stay alive, and it's actually, very hard to die, to be honest with you. Considering, unlike other animals and so forth, that are just, primal driven, we have, cerebral, context that keeps us in a place to where, you almost have to go out of your way to not live, any length of life. At the same time, life is extremely fragile, and you can, walk outside and slip on something, and whoop, there it is. And so, balancing that in, but being aware, okay, accepting, okay, life is life, and we have a responsibility, in our position in life, in our place in life, and not just in our life, but in other people's lives. So now that I'm aware of it, now my mind's thinking like this. I'm like, oh, okay. So now I know when I look at the sky in front of me, when I look at and see the blue sky and the surrounding in the woods, actually you can see the trees now. literally. Before I couldn't see the forest, for the trees, but now I can see the forest, because, despite the trees being there, which make up the forest, I actually see the forest and realize that's the forest, that inside of that forest, inside of that dense patch of greenery, I know, what sets in the middle of that. And so I can say, intelligently, optimistically, that, I can't just run in there negligently and irresponsibly and expect for everything to go okay. No, I have to get prepared to go into those woods. I have to get prepared, make sure, I have the right clothes, make sure I, have the plan, make sure I, there's a lot of downed trees in there, am I going to be able to get over around them, am I going to have something, to move them out of my way? There's a lot, but I'm optimistic. So now I know, I realize, as opposed to years ago when I didn't know what was in there, but I'm like, well, I hope that, nothing's going to get me. La-di-da, I go in there and then find out, oh, well, it's, it's thickets. It's not just a walk through, it's not, there's a lot of, down trees. There's a lot of obstructions because it's the forest, and it's allowed to grow natural. And then when it grows natural, it's not just user friendly if you're not used to it. And so, but optimism, and so, and I'm gonna spend a little time here on ignorant optimism. Ignorant optimism plagues us all at some point in our life, some more than others. Some tend to stay there. Unfortunately, we're in a time where ignorant optimism is very dangerous at this particular time. Ignorant optimism is bad for your health, more ways than one. And a day and time when we have access to so much information, ignorant optimism is really, it's not acceptable as an adult. It really isn't. Not in today's environment. When the children are more informed than the adults, there's a problem. That's a major problem. It's a major problem. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. And so it's imperative that we understand, the difference between ignorant optimism and intelligent optimism. And really, it's not about being smarter than this person, it's being smarter than that guy, it's being smarter than that gal, knowing more than these people knowing more than we knew yesterday. My goal is to know more than I did yesterday. And every day that I go and I learn and I know more than I did yesterday adds value to what I can bring to others. And I'm utilizing this, and I'm seeing it on a day-to-day basis in real time. When I'm able to add value to other people, I see my elevation and my growth. Be like, I didn't even know this before. Now I'm able to add value to somebody else, and then they can take that and, utilize it to their benefit. And so, I say, well, when it comes down to it, optimism is very important now more than ever, but it's very imperative to understand what kind of optimism that you're operating in, whether it's ignorant optimism or intelligent optimism. I encourage you today to choose intelligent optimism and say, well, I'm going to, seek knowledge intentionally. I'm going to seek to know so that I can start to apply, so that one day that knowledge can turn into wisdom that I can impart on others, and that I continue to utilize myself. So, welcome to Well, and that's the talk for today. That's the conversation. Chime in. Let's have a conversation. If you want to, chime in on one of these wells with me, and we can host a Zoom and whatever, and we can record it, and we can talk about different topics, not just the the normal speaking points, but just a wide range of topics that are definitely interesting and definitely affect us all. So just tap in with me and say hey James, let's have a conversation. Welcome to Well. Talk to you later. God bless.